Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. We are at the Decorating Center, which is this really cool little place in Burlington here that's kind of a big secret. We're here with Elisa. Now you are with Adele Barrett Interiors.
Yes.
So you're a designer.
That's right.
So you're giving us the ability to be in here right now.
That's right.
For the general public.
So this is a place where designers and decorators come, and it's great for us. It's like a one-stop shop. It has all our suppliers. We can bring clients in and take a look at everything we need to take a look at.
Wow,
so it's
and there's so many great ideas and some beautiful materials and products.
There's some great products.
So what we want to focus on right now in this particular segment is window dressings, and it's amazing what they can do to a room. So we can picture a bare room with white walls, and then all of a sudden how quickly you can change something with just the window dressings.
You're right.
So we have all the little bits and pieces here.
That's right. So what happens is sometimes this gets forgotten, and roller shades is what we're talking about kind of specifically today, and we'll get into a little bit more about window treatments as well. But they've come a long way in the last few years. It's not your typical white roller shade anymore, as you can see from the board here. So now what happens is you have so much selection in terms of things like a header option, which is what happens up at the top, and we'll take a look at some of those you can see down here. You can even do valance options now, and we have all these beautiful textures and fabrics, things like this, little decorative pulls, tape and trim options, and a huge variety of opacity. So it's very functional as well, which is very important. It's not just decorative, it's functional.
Exactly. So depending on what, if particularly say it's your master bedroom and you don't want to have a lot of lighting coming in the morning time, or you want to be able to pull that shade down. I know in my room I want to have it darken right out. So that's when you can look at the opacity level.
And that's the really nice thing, because there was always some variety in terms of translucency. They always had some interesting textures and fabrics for that. But where they've really, gotten on the rise lately is that the opaque fabrics are beautiful textures and colors, and they're blackout, so they are functional for every room of your home.
Awesome. And again, as you say, then you can just totally jazz them up with all these beautiful ideas of trim and pulls, and it's amazing. So we're going to actually show off a couple ideas today, and there are so many options.
There is. So we'll take a peek this way.
Okay.
So what we're dealing with here, again, beautiful fabric. This could be opaque if you added a liner to the back, or it could be just as it is now with no liner. They've done a beautiful tape option. So as a more casual way of looking at things, you could put this in a room and it would be perfectly fine on its own. But if you really want to kind of up the ante, what you can do is add some beautiful fabric. So we're going to take a look at a couple that we could do floor length draperies with. This one here, if you want something a little bit more serene or calm, this is beautiful embroidered linen.
Oh, wow.
You can see what that does.
That's
just
gorgeous.
makes beautiful, beautiful window treatment. If you really want to be bold and exciting, you can add some color, and you don't have to be afraid of color.
And I guess that's where you as a designer comes into, because sometimes people can't visualize that and people get scared. So
that's right.
You can say, look, this is what we could do, because some people could never come up with this on their own.
That's right. It is a little bit difficult. I mean, you get used to it when you're working with fabrics all the time, but the other nice thing is that most people will be able to pick a basic that they love. But then, like I said, if you take a look at something like that, I mean, that's a real wow.
It's fun, right.
Okay, so you don't have to be afraid of color. And then what you get into, if you do some color, is that you can really punch up your room with things like this, which is an upholstery fabric. These could be some beautiful cushions.
Wow.
This could be cushions as well. These are also functional for ottomans, things like that.
So you're just pulling color from this and just throwing it throughout the room.
And you can see how it works with something very neutral.
And I think what's great about this is this is your biggest investment too, right? Is adding this on your window.
For the most part, absolutely.
Right? So I mean, obviously curtains are as well, but being able to have that, and that's there if you do want to take down your drapes
of course,
and change your materials.
This is all the things that can change easily. This is a more permanent fixture.
And that's your neutral, right?
Absolutely.
So then again, you can play around with all the possibilities are there.
That's right.
So obviously we're talking about the fun, the buttons and the pulls, and again, just the options there just make things...
It's just more exciting. People don't think about that in terms of shades. They think it's just, like I said, the kind of boring, you pick a color and that's it.
Right.
And it's there. So, I mean, I can understand why people don't get excited about it, but certainly now there's something to be excited about.
Now, when it comes to these type of, when you're looking at these kind of, these blinds, these pull downs like this, I mean, working on the smallest spaces too, so you could have these in a little powder room, right? And just change everything.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really important. A powder room is one place where you don't have a lot of other opportunity to bring in a soft finish or a fabric. So you could do a roller shade like this, and you could still take a beautiful fabric and do a valance. You don't have to do a valance that's matching. And that just gives you a punch in a place where you don't often get a chance to do that.
Right, because sometimes it's the tiniest little window, and maybe, it's, sometimes you're not even really blocking out anything. Sometimes, there's no visibility, it's going into a side of a house or whatever, but it's still it's a design.
It's fun. Think of it as the jewelry. It's a jewel box, right?
Exactly.
You know, this is where you're really punching it up.
And lots of fun. So again, we're just looking at some options there of using some fun color with a neutral. So let's go to the one beside you.
So now we're going to take a look at this scheme, which is a little bit more difficult to pull together. So this is much more of a neutral scheme. But again, we're back to our basic shade. So this one is a fully opaque shade. Terrific, terrific for a family room, a living room, a master bedroom. You're getting a beautiful texture here. And again, the tape and the accessory detail on the pull.
And it looks, I mean, the quality of it, it just looks good, right?
It does, it does.
Makes
It looks very high end.
When you actually invest in some good quality materials.
And something to think about too is that if you were doing a drapery that had to be working, because you do need some light control, you know, this is not necessarily more expensive. This may be a more reasonable option in some cases because a drapery that's working needs a huge amount of fabric to be drawn all the way across a window.
Right.
So this kind of gives you the functionality at a reasonable price, and then you can really dress it up and splurge on this part of it.
I see what you're saying.
This is a beautiful embroidered linen, a really big trend we're seeing lately. That would be a gorgeous room.
That is gorgeous. And actually, you know what, speaking of trends, let's talk a little bit about some of the trends that we are seeing right now, and then we can kind of work a little bit more with this. So, you know, what, as we're now officially in 2015 and moving through, what are we seeing? Obviously, when it comes to window dressings in your home, you're not going by seasons as much. I mean, you can decorate a little bit within, you know, pillows and things like that, but you can't be changing your
That's right. So, I mean, there will always be trends. That's certainly a big thing in design, but what we find works in our practice is that you need to pick something that you really love, and if you love it, and if it works really well, especially in the case of neutrals, it's going to be timeless.
I see, and that's what I can imagine. So you can't be following around something that you think maybe in a magazine.
Do your trends with pillows and things like that. That's the things that can change easily. Draperies and window treatments, I think it's really important to be classic and timeless.
Yes, and again, it's what you like because you're dealing with it every day.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So again, you're showing options here of this is beautiful and neutral, and just again, sort of how you tie in pieces.
So I just want to talk quickly about what you can do to kind of lift it and make it a little more formal, because this is a fairly casual treatment on its own.
Right.
So definitely adding a floor length drape like this or any other fabric would up the formality for sure. Hanging it high, that's going to help. If you want it to be very formal, you could add something like an upholstered cornice to the top and put these up underneath. But then the other thing to consider is your other treatments in the room. Pillows. This is a beautiful fabric. We've made it a little more formal by putting a brush fringe on it. You know, that's something that's kind of coming back, but people don't think to do things like that.
Right.
And then also adding some sparkle. I mean, this is a beautiful linen fabric.
That's beautiful.
You know, that kind of ups things a little bit.
It does.
And then this is a beautiful embroidered fabric that has, you know, silk and linen again. So really it's about what you like, but keep the window treatments classic is my biggest word of advice.
That's good advice, and coming from a designer. So obviously if someone wants to be able to come into a space like this, they need to have a designer like you,
They
right?
do. They do.
So that's kind of cool. So Adele Barrett Interiors, and they can hook up with you, right? So
absolutely.
That's pretty awesome.
Love to help anyone.
Oh, and that's a good thing. So thank you so much. Again, we'll have more Terra at Home right after this quick break. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of Terra. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Noelle from Ellenoire in Dundas. And you've been in the biz for so long now in this beautiful building here in downtown Dundas.
We just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Holy smokes, I can't believe it. And one of the staples that you've had right from the get-go is being able to customize scents for people. And this takes a special talent. And also for somebody, obviously the week right now ahead of Valentines, this might be a really special gift for somebody. So say a gentleman or a female would come in and perhaps do this for somebody as a gift for Valentine's, right? Mm-hmm. But lots of questions to ask when it comes to customizing a scent for someone.
Yes.
Okay, so where would you start?
Well, one of the things that I tell most of our gentleman clients is sneak into the bathroom and start looking around at different fragrances and make a little list. Even if it's brand names of fragrances or brand names of lotion and things like that, get in a sense of what the partner, wife,
because you know what
really likes.
The tones come with that, what that would kind of, whether
so we can figure out what kind of fragrance family that person likes. And then there's a variety of different ways to do custom fragrance. You can do it as a gift certificate, so you buy the exquisite custom scenting service, which is a custom perfume scent service that we offer. So I have a private appointment booked with a person, and in about 2 to 4 hours, depending on how many times we change it, we can do specifically custom designed fragrance for that person's skin.
Okay, so let's talk specifically about that. So if someone wants to have that and they're able to come in and sit with you, that seems like quite a period of time. Like, what are you doing in that process?
Well, the fun part is the beginning, as we're getting to know each other, because it's two of us, just me and the client on the other side of this beautiful counter, and we chat about what they like, what they don't like, and then I bring out a variety of fragrances with the labels turned away so the client cannot tell what it is that's in the bottle.
Because our minds are so powerful. We decide already.
Exactly. If you think you hate something and you read the label and you already have a preconceived notion that you hate it, you will hate it just based on what your head is telling you. So I refuse to let people see the bottle labels until they've made some decisions. And so they break the products up into, or the scents into 3 different areas. No, maybe, and yes. And then I push the no's away, and then we look at the maybes and the yeses. Then we make some decisions as to where we're starting. And then the reason it takes so much time is we have 20 minutes on the skin every single time the product has been tested. So I've had people sit in the corner and read a book and drink a cup of tea for that 20-minute resting time. Then we smell it on the skin. We give it a rating of 1 to 10. We decide if it's perfect or if we're changing something and what we're changing. And the 20-minute timeline came from experience. I used to be far more nervous about blending with people, so I would rush them through. But the skin really needs that time to get, so the fragrance will develop with the heat of the body.
And that's what they say. So you hear this a lot of times, you know, when you're going to different places and you're smelling scents, you're smelling it from the bottle, or you're smelling it on a piece of paper. But it's really the chemistry in your body. I think we've heard before that the same perfume can smell very different on you than it does on me.
And one of the reasons I'm very reluctant to blend fragrances and just have them sitting on a shelf for people to choose is that it just doesn't make any sense to me that someone picks a perfume based on how it smells. Because that won't necessarily tell you how it's going to smell on you. And that's the hard thing. So I sometimes will blend things ready-made for people, but I really far more enjoy the experience with the client where we can blend something that smells amazing on them.
Okay, so if you're looking at these yes, no's, and maybes, and you're compiling all of that, are there some common ones that people tend to gravitate towards just in general?
Citruses seem to be something that North Americans are very comfortable with. So the citruses, the pink grapefruit, the sweet orange, the blood orange, that kind of thing, they're almost always in the yes column. And then sometimes people surprise me. So you'll get someone who you get a preconceived notion when you look at someone. You know, they've got their hair a certain way or they're wearing a certain type of clothing, and you sort of assume they're going to be very conservative. But some people really shock me and they end up picking some wild, very obscure. And
like, what would be a really wild scent?
Well, even people that think they hate the sort of hippie smell of patchouli.
Patchouli, right.
It's very funny, the people that will pick it. And it's one of those things that is a love or a hate.
Yeah, it's because it is pretty potent.
Yes. And some people don't realize what it really smells like because the notion in our heads of what patchouli is associated with. Often people have smelled really cheap and sometimes even rancid patchouli, and so they don't realize how amazing patchouli can be.
So where are you getting your scents from then? Are they essential oils?
They're all essential oils. We have a couple of other things called an absolute or an extract of different sorts.
Okay.
That's a little bit of a complicated thing to get into, but in terms of what we do is everything is plant-based is what we use. We avoid animal-based products, and we do no synthetics of any sort. So you won't smell anything that smells like fruity gum or
because that's not
peachy.
available
No, none of those
naturally.
they're not available naturally.
And so I think a really good thing is a lot of people can't wear some of the mainstream perfumes that are out on the market. They're highly offensive, so people get migraines from them, or their skin is an irritant, right? Which is why I think you appreciate this, right? So not only do you provide a perfume style, but there's different types of products that once you've found the scent, that you can carry it into other parts of the product. So I think if you were to give it as a gift to somebody, knowing that this is a natural product, my body likes this, I like the smell, then you can get into lotions and scrubs and everything, right?
So pretty much anything you can name in the personal care department, shaving products, male and female lotions, body washes, soap, bar soap, scalp scrub. I can go on forever about the different things that we can custom scent. So you can either have a custom scent done just with a single note. For example, if you know that your girlfriend loves grapefruit,
right? You
can come in and say, okay, I want grapefruit lotion and body wash.
That's
done,
easy.
5 minutes,
you're out of here. It's a pretty easy one.
Very simple and very straightforward.
But some people really like vanilla, but then you can put so many cool things with vanilla to make it.
Vanilla goes beautifully with lavender. Vanilla goes beautifully with the citruses, like we mentioned. And you can take a lot of different, very common things and even blend them together and create brand new fragrances. Because that's the cool part.
And that's the fun part, right? And again, it's kind of the gift that keeps giving, because once you do find that product, then you can get deodorant and you can go. But I think what's interesting is we kind of go back a little bit to, as you say, smelling bottles that are not labeled. You're not seeing the label. It's amazing how sometimes you can't even identify a really common spice in your house, in your kitchen, when you can't see what it is. You're like, I know this, but I can't figure out what it is. That's got to be such a fun way to be able to blend something for somebody, because it's really based honestly on what they like. And
there's so many different plants that have very close associations to each other that the average person that doesn't do a lot of gardening or a lot of working with essential oils wouldn't even understand.
Right.
So generally, if you like certain things, then you will like other things that are associated.
Exactly.
And so that's where I come in, and where I can sort of direct you in certain areas.
That's right. Because I mean, obviously, if females are buying from males, we sometimes are a little bit more in tune with what they really are, what they're wearing, what we like, the smells. But sometimes men are like, I really like how she smells, but I don't know what it is, right? So again, it's just about identifying, right? So it's just kind of really gives people an option. So obviously, again, the week before, probably a good time to come in and get this started if you want to do
at least
a gift.
Unless you want to be last minute and call me and say, I need a gift certificate right away.
Yeah, like, you know, like next Saturday,
yes.
Valentine's morning. People, I'm sure you get very busy.
Oh yes, the men tend to be very last minute. That's just the way they work.
But you know what? As long as they're thinking about it, this is good, right? So always great coming into your shop. Lots of beautiful natural soaps, and I love the bath bombs. So lots of great things to have as gifts. So thank you so much for giving us some ideas for Valentine's. Thanks, Noelle. We'll be back with more TERRA at Home. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Chef Mark from Piazza Allegra Restaurant in Hamilton, and we are 1 week out before Valentine's. This is the time we really need to be thinking about that special day, and it's on a Saturday this year. So some people may be heading out to restaurants and really making a weekend of it, or you could just be staying in, or again, celebrate the whole weekend. So do what we're going to do maybe on the Friday night if you're going out on Saturday.
There
We're
you
making
go.
a heart-shaped pizza.
We're making a heart-shaped pizza. So, can't cut it after. You have to roll it round and then cut it. And that's what I've done. So I rolled a pizza dough. Now, making fresh pizza dough is the key to this recipe. Don't buy, it's simple
It
stuff.
seems like a lot of work to me.
Well, it's not. It's a little bit more work than just dialing a number, but not that much. Not that much. There are a lot of simple recipes. It does not have to be complicated.
Okay.
You should be able to find them on the internet. Simple, flour, water, away you go.
Okay.
The thing with pizza is it is better to make the dough the day before. Okay?
Yep.
And then let it sit in the fridge, and then we'll move on, and then you roll it out the next day.
Okay. All
Okay?
right.
So that's what we've done here. We made the pizza dough the day before, cut it out into heart shape. The piece that I cut out,
Yes.
we cut another little heart over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bake this one dry with a little bit of kosher salt onto it. We'll use it somehow as a garnish.
Oh, okay. I was
Not
wondering
sure
about
yet,
that little
but
guy.
we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, the key to these pizzas as well is the sauce that you use. Okay, now this is the sauce that we use in the restaurant. You need to let it reduce. You need to cook it down. However, tomato sauce naturally has a certain amount of water in it.
Yes.
And most people, when they make thin crust pizzas, the biggest problem they have is having all this water and not figuring out, how to keep their pizza nice and crispy without it being soggy, falling apart.
That's the thing. It's that magic amount too, because I find when I make pizza, sometimes I put too much sauce on, and then it doesn't seem to crisp up. But I like having sauce on my pizza. So, but again, you have a perfect little tray here as well that has holes underneath too.
So it'll help dry it out, but
Yeah.
I'm also going to give you another trick.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of kosher salt onto the pizza itself, because you got to remember there's only a little bit in the dough, but we want a little bit more on there. This one I'm going to put a fair amount, because this is all the flavor this is going to have.
Okay.
Okay? This is what saves your pizza.
Breadcrumbs.
This is breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese mixed.
Come on now. I didn't
And what
think about
this
that.
does is this will absorb all the moisture that's in there.
Oh,
Okay?
that is a good idea.
Now, I'm putting a little bit, you don't need as much as I'm putting on now, but I am putting a little bit extra because the ingredients that I decided to do on this pizza are tomatoes and fiorella bocconcini,
So
which
they
have
have
a
moisture.
lot of water. Exactly.
Can I ask a quick question before
Sure.
we move to those? What is the difference between pizza sauce and pasta sauce? Like spaghetti sauce or...
Pizza sauce tends to be reduced more with less water, so it's got a less water concentration.
Okay, so that's basically...
But in most cases, I mean, it's hard enough to get people to make pizza or tomato sauce at their house
Right.
without buying that stuff in the jars and all that stuff. Yeah.
Unheard of in your
Unheard
world,
of.
right?
You don't do
It's
that.
Like, no way.
That's right. So, I mean, the chances of people making a tomato sauce and a pizza sauce,
Right.
probably not going to happen. So if you make one sauce, just add those breadcrumbs. That'll solve your
And
problem.
that's fine. So similar spices and all that type of thing.
Similar spices and
Okay.
everything. It's just, like I said, it's a lot thicker. It tends to be more of
Right.
a concentrate than that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So we have some grape tomatoes. We're going to place some grape tomatoes on. And again, it doesn't really matter how you want to do it. We'll cut these. We'll throw them on.
So now it doesn't appear that you're actually going to be using mozzarella here.
No. The cheese that we're using is the bocconcini.
bocconcini.
Just the bocconcini.
Ah, okay. And I think that's the best thing. I think that's why people love pizza so much, is because you can literally make it to accommodate all tastes.
Change it up.
Right?
is.
It's just pretty much endless at this point.
It
which
really
nice,
is.
Right?
And now you're starting to see a lot of places do a lot more gourmet stuff. So, I mean, you do pizzas. We've done pizzas. If I'm doing something that's a little bit more Hispanic or a Mexican
Sure.
theme, we'll braise down some pork and shred it and have, chili and stuff. So you can do a pizza like that. You can do pulled pork and do
Sure.
a barbecue pizza.
I was gonna say you do different sauces. Like people
different
put barbecue
sauces.
sauces
Yeah,
on their
you can do
pizza and
everything.
everything. I mean, it's really now just become. So we were talking about this before the show that pizza was invented in Italy.
Naples.
You guys are taking claim to this.
We are taking claim to this one. It was done in Naples. It
Okay.
was invented in Naples. They're the ones that have perfected it.
And then we have just taken it and gone bananas with it.
That's right.
They probably think some of the stuff that we do to pizzas is not nice.
You know
But-
what? It's very different. Like if you go to Europe and you have pizza, if you go to Italy and you have pizza, a lot of pizzas in Italy, they'll put a fried egg in the middle.
Okay, I've heard that.
And it goes
So
over really, really well with almost everything.
Is that now? What would be the most common type of pizza that you would eat in Napoli?
very similar to this,
Okay.
a margarita. Just your
I
simple
figured it
tomato.
would be like
the only
this.
difference is
Fresh.
I brought in arugula instead of basil at this time of the year, just to change
Right,
it up again.
okay.
But very, very fresh. Tomatoes, cheese, fresh basil, into the oven it goes. That would be your most common.
Mm-hmm.
I would say after that, you start looking at things like the quattro stagione, which
yeah.
is the 4. You know, you got the artichokes, olives, prosciutto, mushrooms. That goes over
That's
really
good.
well.
Well, that sounds good.
So what we're going to do, I'm not going to put the arugula on now because the pizza takes longer to bake. Okay?
Yes.
So we're going to bake the pizza the way it is. Then just before we take it out, we're going to throw the arugula and put it back in the oven for about 1 or 2 minutes. Now, the key to pizzas is cook it at high temperature.
Yeah, this is a big question I have for you too. That's the thing. So you wonder, that's when you're making pizza, like those awesome pizza ovens, they're high heat, right? So
700,
it's like
800
flash, boom,
degrees.
in and out, right?
Yep, 700
so
to 800
obviously
degrees.
ours at home don't get that hot.
That's right.
So what are we talking about?
So you want, if you have a convection oven, the best thing to do is a convection bake at about 450 to 475.
Okay.
So you do want it up there. And
Yeah.
with that convection, you're adding another 20 to 25 degrees. So it's going to get around 500 degrees for you.
So you're getting heat all the way
You
around
get
it.
heat all the way around. A nice perforated pan tends to work the best.
Crispy.
Okay. Crispy. Lets the heat go right through. The only thing is you got to make sure you oil the bottom of this before you put it on those pizza trays because it will stick and it does become. And do not roll the pizza while it's on the tray.
Oh, now that
Okay.
that's good. These are all the things. These are
These
the
are little
mistakes we make in
tricks.
life
That's
that we have to
right.
learn from because it'll ruin your Valentine's night. You'd be like, here, would you like some pizza?
That's
on the
right. You'd
tray?
just be serving it on the tray.
Yeah, here.
Knife and fork, go at it.
Hope you just move right to dessert, right?
That's right.
Just avoid that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this pizza, put it in the oven for how long you said?
Depending on your oven, but I would say it's going to need about 7-8 minutes.
Okay, we'll come back and we'll show you the final product. Thank you. We're back. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
I am a truth seeker.
A storyteller.
A dedicated volunteer.
I am a caring neighbor.
A customer's best friend.
And a client advocate.
I am a survivor.
A social media junkie.
A proud father of 4 and problem solver.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am.
I am.
I am.
We are the Hamilton Spectator.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're getting yourself ready for Valentine's Day, and we have our cute little heart-shaped pizza. I like the size of this. This is actually probably more of a personal pizza for me. I love pizza so much. I just love. It's just so. It turned out so nicely.
It's a. You know what? It's a nice shape. It's a good size. It's good for sharing because you probably have something else and
Yeah.
maybe something we'll do next week.
That's right.
There we go.
Next week's show, foreshadowing.
That's right.
So as you said, make sure that you do.
You want to oil this.
Oil that up,
Yeah, because
or that won't happen.
It won't
what you just
slide
did.
off. Exactly. So here's that one. All I did is I put some salt onto that, so you can use it as a garnish, stick it in. I mean,
That's cute.
you probably want to wait to the table before you pull out the pizza cutter. Slice it up. You
Right.
Split it down the middle. It might be
That's
a
right.
bad
Yeah, because
omen.
it looks like you're breaking.
That's right. It might be a bad omen.
Right.
But what like I said, we cooked the pizza first. I did it about 3/4, almost 80%, 90% of the way, and then I put the arugula on at the last minute, put it back in the oven just to wilt it down a little bit, but you got some nice color in there. The other thing you could do is if you want, you can drizzle it with some balsamic vinegar.
Ooh,
We got olive oil you
yes,
can drizzle on
nice.
there. Any one of those would work really well.
Great
But,
idea.
It's a nice little...
It is. It's awesome. And again, I think one of the best tips we learned here today was when the sauce is still quite wet, putting that little bit of breadcrumb Parmesan mix on top of the sauce before the toppings, and that just helps dry things up a little bit.
You can see when I hold it like this,
Yeah.
there's no moisture. It's
Nice.
not falling apart.
That is a good pizza.
You don't have to
I
worry
love
about it.
Very good. We can find our recipe for this pizza on our website at terragreenhouses.com. Always good ideas, and again, just brainstorm. You know what your loved one likes, and just go and have fun with the toppings.
Make a couple of them.
Sure.
Yeah, have fun.
Have fun. Have some good glasses of wine, and you're good to go.
That's it.
I love it. I can't wait to try this. Thank you so much, Chef Mark.
Thank you.
Always good. And again, reminder that we have our market on right now at our Milton location. It's our Terra at Home market. It's winter market. It's full of all kinds of great things. So make sure you check it out after our show today until 3 o'clock. That's it for now. Have a good weekend.